Between you and I got cold feet. Materials were going skyrocket. I didn't think it was the right time. I had to do a lot of manipulations and it cost me a lot of money to do it. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but we are putting all the right people. We have the right relationships, and hopefully we can capitalize on some of this data center craze. So let's get right into it. Today, I wanted to get a little more personal with myself. For you guys that are watching, that have been watching us through the years now, give you a little bit more insight about me. And as usual, we're going to talk a little bit about business too, because that's my life. But wanted to give you guys just a little bit more of a sneak peek of some things that are new in my life. And hopefully you guys can get a little better understanding of what it's like to be me. So some of it's good. Some of it you guys are probably going to laugh at. So let's start off with this, which is pretty exciting for us. My wife and I and our 3 kids, if you didn't know, we had another baby back about a year ago. So now I have 3. And funny story on that is my wife and I had agreed on 2. And I don't know if anybody else who's watching this has had a similar issue, but you know, women change their mind a lot. And for the longest time, I was absolutely not. No more kids, no more kids, no more kids. And finally, I had heard enough of the boo-hooing about it and decided, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And my wife and I are Christians, so I said, you know what? If the Lord wants it to be, I'll give you one shot. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen on that one time. And as luck would have it, it's exactly what happened. So there was no hard feelings. It was more, obviously it was meant to be because we gave it one shot and it did happen. So now we have the new one, Emmy. So what a blessing to have 3 kids. You know, I'm sure it's going to pay dividends when it comes down to it later in life when they're wiping my butt. But right now, 3 kids is a lot. But that's what we got. So we're making it work. But what I was really wanting to talk about was we finally got us a new home. And if you've heard Josh and I talking about it, we're always talking about pulling that bowstring back, continuing to pull it back, and at some point in time you let it go. Now I'm not saying that I've let it go, but I've been telling my wife for some time. Really, it kind of started right around COVID times. So this is our second go round. The first one did not work out. So let me kind of give you a little bit of information. So the first go round, we'd found a nice lot. I'd had it all secured, and we were getting ready to build. I was going to build it with Josh's help. He does a lot of home building, so he was going to kind of walk me through it and help me through the process. I was going to be the builder myself. Well, long story short, we developed the plan. We put the design together, the house design together. Everything was ready to go. COVID happened, and then all of a sudden the prices of all the material just went absolutely skyrocket. And between you and I got cold feet. And obviously that was a very tough conversation to have with my wife because she was ready to move. And I didn't think it was the right time. So materials were going skyrocket. It would be a big jump in mortgage costs for us. So I pumped the brakes on it. And that was, like I said, that was quite a while back. So fast forward to today, we finally built a new home, and we are extremely excited. We bit off a lot, but we were extremely excited. And but with that came a lot of challenges for me. And I don't know who else is watching who's a entrepreneur, but whenever you are self-employed, getting financing is quite the chore. And, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, you know, but what I can say is they treat self-employment a lot differently. And you have to have 3 years of taxes. And in this particular case, I've been self-employed for going on 7 years now. But something happened that kind of threw me for a loop. So I was going to build this one as well too. And what had happened is about 2 years ago, we opened up a holding company, On Call Holdings, and we essentially shut down the taxes on the businesses that we own and rolled them all up into the holding company. Well, that particular circumstance changes how they look at my taxes, and I back again. Here we go. So I'm faced with this challenge where I'm trying to build this new home, and they would not give me a construction loan, right? Which you guys are probably scratching your head like I was, like, how is that even possible, right? I mean, I'm not making, I'm not Elon Musk, but I'm not making pennies, so I assumed it would be pretty simple for me to get a construction loan, which tends to be one of the more easier things to get versus a conservative, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? A conventional loan. So those are typically pretty easy to get, those construction loans. And, again, I was faced with with the circumstance where I was scratching my head trying to figure my way out. I wasn't going to go again and not not have another house. The second time, my wife probably leave me, but we won't go there. So, I figured it out. And, long story short, what happened is when we closed down those taxes, I didn't have 3 years of taxes, even though I still owned those businesses. It did not matter in the eyes of the lenders. So, I had to do some finagling and change myself from getting guaranteed distributions to W-2 for a period of time. I think it was 2 years, which, as you can imagine, it changes my tax structure and my ability to, let's just say, what's the right word I'm looking for? To divert some of my taxes, which means I was paying heavy taxes when I'm a W-2 employee because I don't have the same amount of write-offs as I would if I get a guaranteed distribution through my investment company. So it's been a long 2 years. I had to do a lot of manipulations, and it cost me a lot of money to do it. But finally, we got it done. My wife and I have a new home, and our kids are super excited. We did a bunk bed situation for my daughter. She couldn't be happier. So we are very, very blessed, and it was quite the road. Cost me a lot of money, but we did it, and it's water under the bridge at this point. So we're extremely excited. Figured you guys would like to know that. It's kind of a cool little deal that we got going. But moving on, let's talk about what I usually like to talk about, and that is business ventures. So the landscape around here is just changing every single week, it seems like. So the first thing I want to talk about is a major shift of what we're doing, and you guys are probably seeing them on the news. A lot of times people are complaining about them coming into their cities, but that's data centers, right? It's what the whole world right now is talking about. AI, computer chips, data centers, power. Like, what does it take to power these things? It's all over the news. Well, back before I started doing this 7 years ago, there was it was all about oil. Oil. They were throwing money around like it was nobody's business. If you were doing a service company, servicing oil companies of some sort, they were just throwing the money around. Let's just call it what it is, right? And you can make a really good living working directly for oil companies. Now, obviously, it's changed a lot. That landscape has changed a lot. But the new thing is data centers. And I think it's going to be probably another 8-9 year craze, but we are in the new oil boom, and that's the data boom. So we are spending a lot of time and focus on providing top tier services specifically for these data centers. And these things are massive, and they require a lot of people. They require a lot of power. They require a lot of servicing on these sites. And if that's not something you've looked at providing services to, you might want to look at it. because it is a huge opportunity for anybody who's already in the service business or anybody who has a niche that they can provide these data centers during the new construction or maintenance of these things after they're completed. Trust me when I tell you, you better start looking at it. You're probably already a little bit behind because we've been doing it, and it's a really, really good opportunity for anybody. So we're hitting data centers hard. You guys know that we do toilets and dumpsters and fence and storage containers. Well, they need all those things on these data centers. So we've been able to have the good backing of financials to show these data centers, because getting in on them sometimes is a little difficult. But if you can get yourself in, the insurance requirements are crazy, but get in there if you can, make the money while you can. Just like the oil boom, we're on the data boom. Get in there, do your best to figure out a way to service these things, because there's a lot of criteria, there's a lot of insurance, there's a lot of safety factors to them, right? There's just so much movement and change going on in these things so fast that they need things right now on these data centers. And if you can be the company or the individual who can provide that service at their beck and call, you are going to be fruitful. So that's a big focus of ours right now is getting on all these data centers. And just in our area where we're at, there's 9 data centers going up. These are massive data centers. These are 1,000-acre data centers, right? 500-acre, 300-acre, 1,000-acre, all the way from 100 megawatt up to gigawatt facilities, hyperscale facilities as they call them. So there is opportunity everywhere here, and specifically we're in the Midwest. I'm not saying everywhere is the same, but in the Midwest, it is just going absolutely bonkers on these data centers. So we are inserting ourselves. And once we inserted ourselves into these things, and we've been doing it for a couple years now, we started finding other things within there. And I know we talk about verticals and different niches and working off of what you already have and finding opportunity. Well, this is exactly what we've done. And we've gotten into some other large scale projects and doing some things similar to what we're doing now, but different, requiring different assets, different types of trucks, different types of trailers. And we are doing a lot more on the mechanical side. And that's kind of our new little niche, is we're getting more on the mechanical side. Now, there is a lot of different requirements and different skill sets of people that's required to get on that side. And if we didn't already insert ourselves into the rental side, we would have never got this opportunity. So let that be a lesson as well. Keep your ears to the ground. Get yourself inserted into these jobs. Figure out how you can capitalize on them. It's the same thing that I did inside the refinery when I first started. Is I started with one asset, and we ended up having, like, we did construction, we did rentals, we did fuel, we did just anything and everything. As long as it made sense financially, we bid it off. Now, I'm not saying that's always a good case for everybody, right? To each his own, and make sure you're doing your due diligence. But we've been able to capitalize on some of these opportunities. And if we weren't already doing something that was viable inside of these facilities, whether it be refinery or data center or construction for that matter, we would have never got the opportunity. So let that be a lesson for anybody who's watching, that maybe you can capitalize on something that you're already working in that you don't even know exists. You got to ask the right questions. You got to establish good, sound relationships with these individuals who are operating these facilities, and figure out where their pain points are. And I feel like we've done a good job of that, and it's becoming fruitful for us. And now we are moving on to the different side. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but we are putting all the right people. We have the right relationships, and hopefully we can capitalize on some of this data center craze. So that's kind of one of the newer things that we're working on. But the other thing that's kind of cool is and I know, go back and watch one of our old videos, and it's really kind of a cool video that we did, but we did a tour of our facility. Well, in that tour, it shows some things that we were going to do. In particular, we were going to do some shell mining on the backside of our property. We have about 35 acres here. And in that shell mining, we were going to pull that shell off there. We were going to level the ground out, give us some more usable land, right? And we made a really good deal for ourselves where it really didn't cost us anything to do this because the shell has value and there's other people who need that shell for some of these road construction jobs and construction jobs around our area. So come with me and let's show you the final product. Now, it's been probably 2 years, longer than we probably anticipated, but it's pretty sweet. Come on, let me show you. All right, so here we are. I don't know if you guys remember, but go back and watch one of our old videos about our facility. And you can kind of see, I think we were driving up here and kind of getting an idea of what was gonna happen. Well, this whole hill right here was all through here, and it's a shell hill. So as I was telling you, we were able to kind of arbitrage a deal where somebody needed the shell. So they came in here, did all this work, as you can see out here. Take a look. At no cost to us. So it's a great deal. Now we have usable land. So the master plan, as we talked about, and I think it had to have been over a year ago now, was this is gonna be our new yard for our inventory. So we're gonna have sanitation back here on the back right, dumpsters right here, and then they follow me. So these are all the Jersey barriers we have. You might be asking, well, what are you gonna do with those? Well, organization is key. Like I said, efficiencies, efficiencies, efficiencies. So these Jersey barriers are gonna be just like this, spread out a little bit better, numbered for the truck numbers, and these things are gonna be scattered this way in lines and rows, and we're gonna have all of our truck numbers are gonna be stenciled on these, so every truck knows where it goes every single day. And at the very end of here, in this location, on every single row, there's gonna be 3 total rows. In 2 of the rows, there's gonna be a fuel station on each end of the row. So when they pull in, they can fill up their vehicles at the end of the night, put their DEF in there, or their gas, or their diesel, or whatever kind of truck that they have. It's nice and easy and flows. They come in, they fill up, they park their vehicle, right? It's gonna be fantastic. Back over here, we're gonna be building, we're done with the yard. However, we're gonna be pouring a concrete pad back in the back right, and we're running water over there for our sanitation side. So the object is gonna be, we come through here with our loads that are coming back off rent, because we have a very particular system where we wash them out, we sanitize them, we clean them to keep our assets in the best shape possible so we can use them for longer, so we can get longer returns on our money. But all assets come in off the yard, come back to the yard from being on rent, they're gonna set on a pad that we'll have right over there. What we're gonna have is a wash pad. So we'll be able to come here, drop them, wash them, put them back in the ready line right next to them. So it'll be fantastical. Over here, we're gonna have our dumpsters lined up, and everything will be segmented. So we'll have it so that you'll know this is the dumpster side, this is the sanitation side, right? So the dumpsters will go in lines, kind of like you've probably seen on this other side. They'll go in lines of 30 yard, 25 yard, and 20 yard, because we no longer do the 15 yards. Sanitation, and then right here, there's gonna be 3 sets of Jersey barriers, and then fencing is gonna set on this side over here. I wish I had a little bit more room because we still have containers, but we got containers. They're gonna go back on this side over here. And once all that is done, we will be in a lot better shape, because right now we grew so much that we just don't have a lot of space. So we'll have trucks, fuel, trucks, trailers, which I didn't mention. We'll have a whole line for our trailers. We got trailers scattered all over hell over here. So we'll get that all worked out. But hope you guys like it. This is the new yard. We're moving assets, putting them efficiently over here so that our drivers can come in, out, wash, clean, set things, organize them. Trucks will be organized, trailers will be organized. That way, everything is just better and clean, because clean is the key. Come on, let's go look at the fab shop.